morning and welcome to Failure to Stop podcast channel. We're live, baby. Boy, I've been podcasting like a madman. I have been podcasting out 3 times a day now. What is it, Wednesday? God, I'm doing like 9 podcasts in 3 days. That's like 3 a day for 3 days straight. Loving every minute of it, boys and girls. Thanks for being in the live chats as it begins to grow. I just got done doing another FAWKES news, which is my short formatted news over on Fox News, and there's some crazy breaking news, and I got to actually do some breaking news yesterday and today, so really excited about all that. Pager bombs going off all over Lebanon and Syria yesterday. Insane. Plus, I got to cover this. Who is Wesley Routh? And then also maybe one of the most badass political moves that I've ever seen in my whole life happened yesterday in Florida, which is so great and so awesome, or it appears to be so great, so awesome, that I might want to move to Florida. But I don't, because Florida still is Florida, and it hates you, right? Like the climate, everything in Florida wants to kill you. Florida would be great if it wasn't for the traffic that wants to kill you, the hurricanes that want to kill you, the tornadoes that want to kill you, the wildfires that want to kill you, the moccasins, the coral snakes, the rattlesnakes, the Casey Anthonys. All of the things in Florida want to kill you. It is like a mini Australia, but something incredible happened there yesterday, and I'm going to cover it here for all of you guys right here, right now, on the Failure to Stop's last call of the day. Let's go.
The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on
Sunday. This is
Sunday.
about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
Oh, guns up, giddy up, everybody. God. The fucking wrong microphone and nobody told me? Did I just do that whole intro on the wrong microphone? I cannot believe I just did that. We'll have to edit that out. Well, since we're editing it out, I have to redo an intro. Hello and welcome to Failure to Stop Podcast, the #1 channel where law enforcement first responders go to be informed and entertained 5 days a week. Today we're covering Wesley Routh, the would-be assassin for Trump that happened down in Florida. We're also covering the pager bombs going off in Syria and Lebanon, mainly Lebanon, from Hezbollah supporters. So it's going to be a big show today. Sorry that I introed this to the live chats on the wrong microphone. I am without a producer today because round of applause again. So Josh Deadleg, our producer, missed last week's show because he was closing. No, he had the final walkthrough. And then he missed like 2 weeks ago because he was actually signing the papers for the new house. And then today he's moving into the new house. And just like our friends over at 2 Cops 1 Donut building studio. So we had no 2 Cops 1 Donut podcast this week, which is another podcast on the Fox Media Network. We had no... Oh, and then we have no producer for today. So anyway, it is what it is, guys. You guys know. I don't have to explain myself to you, peasants. I don't have to explain myself to you or anybody else. I'm going to need you guys in the chats though today because I don't have I don't have Deadleg here for me. But the big breaking news today, Hans Zimmer, breaking news is that I don't know. One report says 8, one report says 18 killed in this pager, this exploding pager diabolical attack. Now, I've been keeping up with this all morning. This happened yesterday in Lebanon and Syria around 3:45 their time to 4:45. So an hour of time, a message came out. And then when you checked said message, it beeped or vibrated. A message came through, according to reports, and I'll source these for you in just a second. When they checked the pager and the message, kaplooey, it would blow up. If you haven't seen these images, there's one that's just like stuck in my brain. And I've seen this as a cop. I saw somebody have their testicles de-sleeved. I think I've told that story before. I actually, that story is on my Instagram. I tell it, and I think that story is up to like 500,000 views on my Instagram. But yeah, where a man had his genitals de-sleeved, the sack of his balls de-sleeved. But there's an image out there right now, and I'm not going to show it because I obviously don't want to get kicked off of YouTube's, but a man on a moped, pager blows up in his pocket. Now, if you know anything about Muslim culture, Middle East culture, let's just say Middle East culture, they wear pajamas, very thin, loose, loosey-goosey pajama-like clothing and attire. They don't wear like jeans or like, your canvas, hiking pants, your Patagonia stuff. No, they wear like very thin pajamas, and they don't wear underwear. So you can see their little uncirced dinger-dongers just kind of flopping in the wind. I used to have to search those uncirced dinger-dongers all the time when I was over there. But I say all that to say is there's not a lot of protection between a pager and one's testes. So images of a man on a moped scooter, it appears that the pager blows up in his midsection. You can see what looks like a testy soaring through the air as he is getting clotheslined by the car next to him's mirror. So imagine you're driving down the road and with a moped, boom! Oh, my nuts! You swerve, face hits the mirror of another car. I mean, I'm guessing he's got to be one of these 8 or 18 killed. But it was just it's an image that's stuck in my brain. I'm going to show you guys an image here shortly, but I want to address the chats. By the way, I forgot. Listen, I've been podcasting like crazy, and where's my head at? Today's show is brought to you by ghostbed.com/Wolfpack. Sleep so good, it's scary. Which is another reason also going on the ghost bed. And this is my ADD brain for you. Don't sleep with your phone right next to your head or under your pillow. I'm sure that it is not good for you. I'm not going to say it causes cancer. Probably causes cancer. I don't know. I'm not confirming that. Listen, I'm just saying, I'm not a doctor. I'm saying, don't put your phone next to your head. Did I just say doctor? Like I'm a Yankee or something? I'm not. I had a real Kamala moment right there. You better thank a union for giving you 5 days. You like a 8-hour workday. You better thank a union. If you haven't seen that video, head over to FAWKES News and go to my Kamala Clown Show, where I do all of them. I compiled all of the Kamala gags together. Oh, and today we were supposed to have a special guest. He backed out. Listen to my content. He was a political analyst. Said, I'm not going to do it. I told his publicist, we have a pretty conservative crowd over here. And the show's kind of loosey-goosey. They listened to 2 episodes, she said, he's not down. He's not going to do it. I said, I didn't think he was. I like, he's got a book. He's like super anti-Trump. Like, I didn't think he was, but she does say she is also the publicist for a ex-CIA agent who would like to come on the show. So maybe we'll get that locked down, and that will be really exciting. Let me address these chats, and then we'll just kind of move our way into the news today. Uncivil engine. Nope. Uncivil Ingy. I don't know. Maybe he's talking about he's a civil engineer, but he's uncivil. And there wasn't enough letters. There wasn't enough space to put enough letters, maybe. Found out about the second attempt from some guy on Fox News. Y'all should check them out. Hey, thank you, brother. Chico Mite, unacceptable. Good luck with the move. I cannot stand moving. Packing is fine. It's the move that sucks. That was for Josh. Moving does suck. And you know what sucks even more is redoing your kitchen. That sucks. Fox News for the win, says Corn Pop. Thank you. FAWKES News is what he's referring to there. Felony Melanie says, what's up, guys? Tyler says, felony. Marine's Bloodbath says, Tansy, who is these chats? Who is these chats? Who is these chats? Who is they? Bones Cold Fleece Austin says, morning, everyone. Ahoy. And then Murphy30 says, who is that man looking sassy in a salmon shirt? There's no salmon shirts here. I don't know. Is my fucking camera messed up or what's up? Let me get one more. No, I don't. I'm going to do one more chat here. Bro, testicular degloving. Oh, man, I'm going through a swollen testicle right now. TMI. Perhaps a torsion. It's huge. Did not need to hear about the disleaving. Damn, dude. Rest in peace. Chico Mite's balls. Chico Mite, dude. Sorry, man. Here's a funny one though for you. One time I got mixed up in it made the newspaper, but let me just tell the whole story. I had a 1977 Plymouth Volare station wagon painted orange. This thing was like the mascot of my high school. Actually, the wrestling team, which I had no affiliations with at the time, stole my car. Like the coach, wrestling coaches, they're diabolical. They're like, they're the type of guys that would put explosives on a pager type diabolical. But somehow this coach, who I don't even know his name, I just know everybody was scared of him. In his time, like everybody was kind of scared of the wrestlers and the wrestling coach. It was like, yikes, stay away from those guys. So I have no affiliations with them. They're not my friends. Went and somehow, I'm not sure if they used a screwdriver to start my car. That's what I think they did because the ignition thing was bent end. I think they stuck a screwdriver, and it had to be him because high school back then, there wasn't the internet. You couldn't just like Google how to start a car. Started my station wagon. Moved it out onto the main road, and the coach stood on the roof of my station wagon, my bright orange Plymouth Volare station wagon. I think it was massive, had a big straight 6 in it. Bosco Archer would appreciate it. And then pushed this thing down the road, had the wrestlers push it up and down the swampy roads of Florida while the coach stood on it like he was some kind of, Caesar Augustus or something. You know what I'm saying? Hands on hips, Captain Morgan style. And all of a sudden, I go out to find my car. I can't find it. I'm afraid. I'm like, did my car get stolen? And then I hear chants and hollering, and up over the hill, I just see a man with up on Captain Morgan style. And then all of a sudden I see the window and then the bright orange color of my station wagon and an entire team of wrestlers pushing it. And they push it all the way back into things. And there was no apology. There was no like explanation. It was just kind of like, here's your car back. Very bizarre. But anyway, that car, we lifted it and we put a leaf spring lift on it and put 31 1050 Jeep tires on it and went mudding with it. This was, we put helmets on, and then because it had the big bench seats, so you could put like 9 people in this thing, and we would all put these like weird helmets on, catchers helmets, hockey helmets, Lego helmets, and we would, just basically try to wreck it. And we got stuck, me and there was a bunch of girls in there, and we got stuck on a massive yellow jackets or wasp nest that was buried in the ground. And we got stung. All of us ended up in the hospital. One girl almost died from this. It was actually a very traumatic event. But I got stung on my penis and on my balls. And this is going back to Chico Mite. And my penis and my balls swelled up enormously. Huge. And to this day, I wish digital cameras were a thing, because I would have absolutely taken pictures of it. And that would have been my unsolicited DPs that I send out for the rest of my life. Because in that moment, I had a hammer, a real Kevin Costner. So I don't know why we're going down these rabbit holes today. Maybe it's because I've been podcasting so much that I'm losing my mind, losing my marbles. But let's jump into today. Let's jump in. It's been 13 minutes of goofing off time. This is what happens when I don't have a producer to interrupt me or to reel me back in. You see how important producers are, guys? When I don't have anybody to reel me back in. All right. Somebody says it was my proudest moment. It really was. It really was my proudest moment. All right, let's go into this reporting from the Times of India. Now, I think this is pretty interesting stuff. So, if I report news and it's fake news or bad news or misinformation, disinformation, there's going to be a lot of warnings. The thing is going to be the video will be taken down. So you have to be very careful. Any media outlet on the American side, and I remember this with Ukraine, when Ukraine first started, and if you go back to some of my last calls, you guys will remember this, where Indian-based or Middle Eastern or Asian-based, Southeast Asia-based news sources would report on the Ukraine situation almost the exact opposite of what any American or Western news station would report on. So you could read like French news or English news, UK news, BBC news, anything like that. But then if you went to like Al Jazeera or Times of India, or you went to Sky News Australia, they would, Sky News was actually extremely different than everybody else. And in this case, America is saying that nobody is taking blame for this, and Israel hasn't spoke up yet, and we don't know. And I'm fine with saying we don't know. I'd rather you say we don't know. But I think it is strange that India is just coming right out. Now, this is Times of India, and you hear on the West says, well, I mean, is that a credible source? I mean, it is in India because it has 4 million subscribers. I mean, that's, you know what I'm saying? Like 4 million subbies. Somebody believes this shit, right? I'm not saying it's a credible source or anything. What I'm saying is that 4 million people tune in to Times of India's YouTube channel in India. And this is what they've reported today. And now they're reporting this and they're not taking it. YouTube isn't taking it down. So what happens if I report on it? Because it's exactly the opposite of what America news propaganda is putting out. So can Times of India just post whatever they want? I don't understand the misinformation, disinformation concept that Kamala Harris says we need to put it into, because somebody's lying here. It's either India, Times of India, or it's the United States. Now listen, I'm a barrel-chested freedom fighter. I bleed red, white, and blue all the way through. I sleep on an American-made ghost bed. USA, USA. All right? But I don't know if I believe the American propaganda news over the Times of India. I don't know. I'm not saying one way or the other, but what I'm saying is somebody's lying here. And I guess it's up to you, and it's up to me and FAWKES News. And of course, last call here on the first step to keep you first responders informed and entertained 5 days a week. It's up to us to kind of decipher what you want to believe and what you don't want to believe. But here is what Times of India is putting out. Now this is their headline for their news. Israel's sophisticated attack is the headline. The Mossad injected a board inside of the device, referring to a pager, that has explosive material that receives a code. It's very hard to detect it through any means, even with any device or scanner. It goes on to say it's an AP924 model pager. By the way, I looked this up. It's made by the Gold Apollo company out of Taiwan. It's a Taiwanese company. Like other pagers, it wirelessly receives and displays text messages, but cannot make phone calls. Now here, pay attention to this. The device have been modified by Israel's spy service, the Mossad, at the production level. That's a pretty bold statement for a one-eyed fat man, as they would say in a John Wayne movie. The device had been modified by Israel's spy service at the production level. Israel's spy service at the production level. If I ever say something 3 times, it means that it's probably something to take note of. So, whereas we say that this wasn't Israeli, we don't know. Israel's not talking about it. It's not confirmed. I mean, India, either are they that much better than us, or are they just making shit up? Let me know in the chats. What do you guys think? You think these guys are just making shit up, or Yeah, Omri Knight in the chat says Hillary said she wanted people locked up for propaganda. I mean, that's the whole thing too. That's why I created FAWKES News, was to give you factual, non-emotional news. That's just the facts. That's been fact checked. That's verified. And I leave the sources in the notes. That's why I think FAWKES News is super important. And I'm so glad. And it was you guys. It was you last call Wolfpack that made me create FAWKES News. I've never, I get a lot of messages about our Friday breakdowns. We know that's a great show. We know that's a good show because, we get 1,700 messages and comments on our breakdowns via social media, via podcast messaging, and all these things. So I know, that is a really good tall tale sign that show does really well. And of course, its numbers do great also. But last call, you guys give me messages not pertaining to the cases, but pertaining to wanting more of this. So when I start getting a lot of messages like, Eric, you should do more news, you should do more news, you should do more news, I listen to the people. I'm not a politician. I actually listen and I come good on it. So now I'm not, even if it was Israel that did this, I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to that. If you go back to Operation Northwoods, which is a declassified, it was a declassified operation presented to John F. Kennedy right before he was assassinated. Matter of fact, it was so heinous. Operation Northwoods was so heinous that Kennedy said he was going to scatter the three-letter agencies to the four winds, and he was 10 weeks later, he was then assassinated. But, if you go back and so if you go to FAWKES News, Fox News on YouTube's, and you go to the last video I did about this pager incident, in the show notes, I put a link to the declassified PDF of Northwoods. And you can see how diabolical that operation was. I mean, they're talking about flying a Cuban marked jet by a airliner with passengers on it, and then taking another airline and crashing it shortly after. So the people on the one airplane would report that they saw a Cuban jet, a MiG, a Russian MiG, a Cuban MiG, whatever. And then all of a sudden another plane would be shot down. So everybody would assume also simultaneously a group of foreign actors, which they write in Operation Northwoods, in parentheses, friendlies, would stage a riot at the gates of Guantanamo Bay while simultaneously lighting fires and having ammunition explosions inside of Guantanamo Bay. They even address having Cubans in America to stage a mass shooting in a Cuban neighborhood by a Cuban nationalist or Cuban Marxist, so that the Cubans in America would be against Cuban Marxists or Fidel Castro supporters. And this would all happen on American soil. Innocent people would die in this Operation Northwoods. Obviously, that never went to fruition, but they still wanted to kill Fidel Castro. And there is a BBC report on this from a few years ago, where they talk about some of the plans and the things that they wanted to implement to kill Castro. They're not too far off from this whole pager bomb incident. So this is from BBC. There was an exploding cigar plot, by the way, where they were going to, because he was always chewing on cigars. Exploding cigar plot to assassinate Fidel is well known, but what about the other reported 637 plots against his life by the CIA in America, by the way? The outlandish projects included, this is from BBC. The outlandish projects included exploding seashells, a poisoned dive suit. Now, let me tell you about the outlandish exploding seashells. Castro was an avid diver. He liked to dive and snorkel, and he would collect seashells and underwater artifacts, if you will. He was known to do such things. They had one plan to actually put exploding seashells on the beach that he walked on. They said there's no way, like, anybody could step on those. So that wouldn't work. So what they were doing is that they were going to take really shiny, pretty seashells and artifact looking things, stuff them full of explosives, and sink them at all of his favorite dive sites. So that Castro would dive down. His curiosity would get the best of him, and you would remove one of these seashells and boom, he would explode. Another one is that they were going to infect his dive suit with a fungus. And so when he breathed in through his suit, it would slowly poison him. Another one of these 637 plots that almost actually happened in 2000, as early as 2000. Castro died in 2016. But right before a press conference, they were going to spray an LSD aerosol in the room so that by the time he got on the news, he would appear hysterical. I wonder if they were going to do that in 2000 to cause him to be hysterical. I wonder if there's something that they would do to Joey Biden to make him seem very senile. Now it begs the question. Maybe he's just senile. Makes sense. Makes sense that, he is just getting that old. But if they were, they moved very quickly to get this guy out and and away from an election that a lot of people don't agree with, at least the numbers. I don't know, but it makes you think, right? Another one was that they were giving him beard creams that would make his beard fall out so that he would appear to be, because his beard was a sign of power and they wanted to take that power away from him. So they even were trying to give him creams, but he didn't fall for it. He wouldn't switch creams. They even sent a girl in to poison him. The story goes that he calls her out. I know that they sent you here to kill me. You can't kill me and you won't kill me. And then he fucked her right then and there. Or she calls it, we made love. That's a true story. That is a true story. You can look it up. So I say all that to say, Mossad, the CIA, all the things that they're getting desperate. They're getting desperate, and that's scary. I want to get serious for a second. This is scary. I'm going to play for you a couple of clips of what Ron DeSantis had to say live. If you want the short form content of this, if you're trying to rip it, make your own reels, go for it. I made this into the public commons area of YouTube so that you can rip that and download the Fox News's. You can use it for anything you want. I think it's called like attributed commons or something like that. But basically, it's free content. You guys can use it. So what I did was I took his live press conference yesterday, Ron DeSantis' live press conference, and I watched the entire thing. And I broke down the 4 most important parts and put it into a short 10, 12-minute video for you on Fox News. I'm going to play it longer here, but if you want those short content, go over there and you can rip it and steal it, make reels from it. I encourage you to do so. You don't even have to tag me. I could care less. I just want the information to be out there. I don't care about the glory. I really don't. I really just want this news to be out there. I'm a happy man, distillery owner, sponsored by Ghostbed to do all these shows and factormeals.com. So I'm already getting paid. Okay. I don't need extra clout. I don't need more money. I have a very rich life, 5 children, wife, house, podcast studio. I'm fine. I don't need anything else. So please go over there and steal it, but I'm going to play it for you. And this is very scary because if big government, so I'm not going to go to say left and right because I don't believe in that anymore. I no longer believe in the left and the right. I don't. I believe in the military industrial complex being in charge. And if you want proof of that, Dick Cheney just endorsed Kamala Harris. And if you look at all the policies and everything that's going on worldwide right now with this administration, it's exactly what Bush and Cheney were trying to achieve back in the 90s. Scattering the Palestinians like birdseed was one of their main goals. Another one was a direct conflict with Syria and Lebanon. What is happening currently right now? And listen, we've had big government. There's only 4 years out of the last 20 that we haven't had a big government operative, a industrial military operative in the White House. Only 4 years. I'll let you guess or take a gander take a guess at what 4 years that was. But ever since then, none of the candidates actually were chosen by the people. So, direct conflict with Russia, direct conflict with China, in North Korea. These were all things that Dick Cheney and Bush spelled out in their book, which was Unveiling Evil, The Axis of Evil. And I did a Fox News special on that called The Industrial Military Complex. It's a 20-minute video, explains all of this. I read in detail from the book what the goal of Dick Cheney, from the minds of the architects of the weapons of mass destruction and the war in Iraq, what they had envisioned for the Middle East is actually happening right now by big government, by the industrial military complex. And so now that there is a threat, and it's not a threat to democracy that Donald Trump presents, it is a threat to the industrial military complex. And let's all start saying that. Let's all just start saying that Donald Trump is a threat to the industrial military complex. Hashtag. That'd be a very long hashtag. But you get my point, right? Like, you understand where I'm coming from on this. This isn't a left versus right thing, because if it was a left versus right thing, the left, the actual Democrats in this country were actually the ones that were giving us all the evidence, that were showing us the conspiracies behind 9/11, that were showing us the conspiracies of the weapons of mass destruction, that were on the side of Julian Assange and all these other guys that were against the TSA's extreme powers to violate your constitutional rights and your privacies and what was going on in Guantanamo Bay. It was the left that exposed all of that. And wait, you guys are on the right. We're like, wait, no, we were all bamboozled. And what I think now our Trump supporters realize that they were bamboozled by the right. Deep down in your soul, you believe or you feel that you were bamboozled into a 20-year war that didn't make any fucking sense. And you're bitter and you want something that's not the establishment, which is what makes it's not so much a Trump savior complex. We learned that when we were all in on the Bush Cheney administration, and we listened to propaganda media back then, and we lost friends, and we had arguments, and we hated each other, and we divided ourselves amongst each other, and we supported what we now know is the other side was correct. Just like the right is right about the COVID vaccine and the left isn't. The left will one day wake up and realize, holy shit, you so-called righties were actually right about that. The right has to acknowledge that in the 90s, the left was correct there was no weapons of mass, in questioning the weapons of mass destruction, the questioning of the war crimes that were going on in Guantanamo Bay. Listen, they were exposing things that were actually really happening. And so the right, as we knew it in the 90s, has now somehow infiltrated into the left of the 2020s and is using that left to carry out the same dumb shit that we fell for in the 90s. And that's why we are Trump supporters. And now it's like we have to try to convince them that, hey, guys, you guys are falling for this industrial military complex propaganda, this psyop, the using of mainstream media propaganda to divide you and to use racism and scare tactics and climate change and all these things that they're trying to scare. You're falling for the same dumb shit that we fell for. And so we're not right or left here at Failure to Stop. We're not. We're anti-military industrial complex who is actually running the country right now. Is that hyperbolic of me? Did you guys just say like, oh my God, Eric is a crazy person? Maybe that's how you feel right now. But out of all my research, and I encourage you to go look at the receipts that I show you on FAWKES News, the Industrial Military Complex is Real episode that I did 20 minutes. I show you the receipts on what I'm talking about, and you tell me I'm wrong, because all I'm saying is that the key points that Dick Cheney and Bush laid out, the left absolutely hated, and they were absolutely against it. And now all of those things are happening in the Middle East with a left Democrat administration, backed by, supported by, endorsed by Dick Cheney and other rhino Republicans. Now, what I'm about to show you about this, who is Ryan Routh, and I apologize. I will change the title of today's show. I will, because I'm not trying to mislead anybody, but this is a live show. I can't do it right now. I'm going to skip on the who is Ryan Routh. We'll do it later. I want to show you this just terrifying, scary speech, press conference that was given live yesterday by Ron DeSantis. And this should give all of you chills, whether you're a DeSantis fan or you're not. I have to play you these 4 main points today, and I want you to think about them. And then I'm going to give you a couple of different perspectives. Like maybe one perspective is DeSantis is a bad guy. It doesn't appear that he is. Literally, I became the biggest Ron DeSantis fan overnight. But I understand that maybe it could be propaganda too. Only time will tell. But I really, 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 regardless, appreciated what he said. And I want to present it to you, and I want to see what you think. But I think it unprecedented. I've never seen anything like this. And if what he says comes true, it will be the first time in my journalistic career where I've been diving hard in this, and you Wolfpackers have been following me on this. It'll be the first time that we get an answer to one of these major nation-altering events. Before I do that, before I start playing these, I want to give a special shout out to ghostbed.com. The reason why I'm awake and alive here at 10 o'clock in the morning is because I get the best sleep of my life. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not being hyperbolic. Actually, I'm going in for sleep apnea because I snore so daggone loud. And I tell my wife, it's not sleep apnea. I'm getting great night's sleep. I don't have bags on. I'm doing jujitsu 5 days a week now sometimes at 40 years old. I know I'm not losing sleep. I'm sleeping so damn good that I'm just snoring. I'm sawing logs, baby. I'm freaking like stage 10 sleep. You know what I'm saying? Stage 10, it's a thing, probably. Science, backed by science. India Times said it was real. These are beds made in the good old USA. They've supported us from day one. They pay all of our things. They got the cooling technology. They got that healing copper technology in some of them if you want it. Get that adjustable base. The Ghost Bed pillow, though, I cannot talk enough about the Ghost Bed pillow. It's the same as the Ghost Bed, but it's made into a pillow. And it's got that cooling technology, so you're always on the cooler side of the pillow, which is incredible. And I travel. You know, I spend more time in an Airbnb and a hotel than I do in my own house. And I don't travel without my Ghost Bed pillow. I just don't do it. You guys will see me October 18th in Orlando at Tactical Brewing Company for a live podcast and comedy show. Backed on the 19th in Orlando for Shell Shock with Anti-Hero Podcast, Two Cops, One Donut, Donut Shop Podcast, Feather Stop Podcast, all the Fox Media podcasts with a big giant rager. This is Shot Show meets Vans Warped Tour, hardcore, heavy punk metal bands, all that to entertain first responders and raise money for PTSD and all these things. I will be there with my Ghost Bed pillow. If you want to try it out, as gross as that is, because I do drool on that pillow, you can lay your head on my sweet pillow. We're all staying at the Sheraton North, and then we're having an after party on the 19th at the Sheraton North. It's going to be a rager at the bar. So after the Shell Shock event, we will have so get your hotel rooms at the Sheraton North Hotel in Orlando, Florida, and you will be in the same building as me. And you can come and see all of your favorite podcasters like Anti-Hero Podcast, Donut Shop, Two Cops, One Donut, all the special guests like Eddie Gallagher, Kyle Rittenhouse, Conservative Anthony, a bunch of other Gun Bunny influencers that everybody knows. I don't know because I'm not a gun bunny. I like guns, but I'm not into the gun influencers. But they are cool guys, and I do recognize their faces. They're all going to be there. It's just going to be a super great time. We'll hope to see you there. You can try out my Ghost Bed pillow. Head over to ghostbed.com/Wolfpack right now. Get you the cooling sheets, get you the pillow, get you the whole daggone bed, get you the adjustable base with the zero gravity massage modes. Do it all. Also, factormeals.com. You want to get lean and mean? You want to get freaking strong and jacked? Head over to factormeals.com. This is meal planning to the next level so that you don't have to run out to the grocery, spend way too much money at the grocery, buy all the gas, take all that time, come back, cook out each individual meal prepped meal that suits your dietary needs all week long. This is the time you could be spending with your wife, spending with your kids, getting shit done and not spending extra money. You could have just gone on to factormeals.com/Wolfpack50, picked from one of their hundreds and hundreds of menu items, select them. These are chef prepared, fresh, never frozen meals delivered right to your door. And all you do is stick them into a microwave. They're even color coded and they'll come like every Tuesday. I get mine every Tuesday for the week. I get breakfast shakes, but you can get real breakfast. You can get pancakes, eggs, you can get whatever you want. I get the breakfast shakes, and then I do protein heavy lunches. And then I do order the dinners, but I use the dinners more so for my kids when shit's getting hectic and I don't have time, and I give them something. Or if one of them just needs something, I can throw it in the microwave for 2 minutes. But I cannot go on without my breakfast shake and my lunch. That's how I say jack, dude. That's my diet. Factormeals.com/Wolfpack50. Start your meal planning today. Holidays are coming up. You're going to get a lot fatter in the next couple of months. Start now. Slim it down now so that you can eat guilt-free come the holidays. Head over to factormeals.com/Wolfpack50 and start your diet today. All right. As I promised, I want to present to you guys the 4 main points. And now this is regarding the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. I will change the title of today's show. But these are the 4 key points that Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, left in his press conference yesterday that was live. I think these are very, very important points. Point number 1 being that Florida and Ron DeSantis is not going to turn over Ryan Routh to the FBI. Okay, so this first clip is Ron DeSantis telling you, committing to you that he is not going to hand over this investigation or Ryan Routh to the FBI. And then the second point he's going to bring up, and I'll play that afterwards, is going to be answering some of the questions that they're looking at in the investigation. Like, how did this guy know to go to a golf course that was closed to the public? That's not even open yet. It's closed for the season until October. How did this guy know to get there the night before? And how did he know that this was the most hidden area of the golf course to set up a sniper style rifle? How did this guy afford to go to Ukraine, Hawaii, North Carolina when he's, pretty much poor from being sued and sort of some of these other guys? So that's the second part of this I want to. And then number 3 and 4 are Ron DeSantis calling out the feds in their past investigation. So let me go ahead and start playing these for you in the last 20 minutes of today's show. Here is number 1 clip of Ron DeSantis telling us that he is going to take the investigation and not hand it over to the FBI.
Judicial circuits in the state. Palm Beach Judicial Circuit, the Judicial Circuit including Martin County, as well as perhaps the Judicial Circuit represented by Broward County. Also, the state of Florida has jurisdiction over the most serious, straightforward offense, which is attempted murder. I've directed state agencies to move expeditiously and to provide full transparency to the public. In my judgment, it's not in the best interest of our state or our nation to have the same federal agencies that are seeking to prosecute Donald Trump leading this investigation, especially when the most serious, straightforward offense constitutes a violation of state law, but not federal law. In addition to holding the suspect accountable, the public deserves to know the truth about how this assassination came to be.
All right, so that's Ron DeSantis saying we're not giving this guy up. It was one of the highest crimes that you can commit in a state, and it stays at the state level. That's what he's saying. He's like, it's not a federal matter. This is an attempted murder case, and the state of Florida is going to run this as a state. You don't have jurisdiction here. I mean, that is coming from DeSantis's, the governor's mouth. One of the more interesting points, I want you to stick around for this, is where he talks about social media. Because we remember Kamala Harris coming out recently that she wants to hold social media more accountable for real news and real information, and to fight against misinformation and disinformation. I'm gonna play a clip here of what DeSantis says, and that which pertains to this case, which kind of goes to show you that social media has been weaponized by the industrial military war complex, or what I like to call big government. So let me play the next clip for you guys. Again, probably the most powerful, probably the most bombshell news, without being hyperbolic, the most bombshell gangster, as Mer 530 says, news that I've ever seen coming out of politics. And I only hope it means what I think it, or what I perceive it to mean. I hope so. I hope this is it. I hope I'm not being bamboozled by all of this. But listen here. Listen to number 2 here.
Tell me a little bit about what do you make about the fact that the suspect exploited the security hole that Secret Service.
Basically, if you can't hear that, he's asking, how does this guy know?
Investigation, I think, will show.
In Mar-a-Lago.
Some people say, well, how would he have known to be there? But I think those of you who've covered the former president, when he is at Mar-a-Lago on the weekends, that is the #1 place he goes. So it isn't like this was like a 1 in a million chance. On the other hand, this guy went at night, and it was not on any schedule that this was going to happen. It was more of a last minute thing. And I don't even know that the club is open yet. I think they open in October. I know, in fact, I was talking with them a week or 2 ago. They did a lot of overseeding. I think the course is going to be in really good shape. And he's like, you got to come down and see it. But I don't think it's even open for the members yet. So why would he have chosen now to burrow in to that? I don't know the answer to that question. Our folks are going to look to see. And here's the thing. I'm not interested in trying to blame this person or that person. It's okay. Let's just get the facts. Let's put it out for the public. Let's figure out this guy, you look at his rap sheet, you look at the things he's been involved in. This guy had red flags. I know he's been looked at by federal law enforcement. How the heck did it end up where he's in West Palm Beach in those bushes? And that's apart from the prosecution. People deserve the truth about that. They need to know his associations. They need to know his motivations, his ideology. And our guys are doing it. In fact, as soon as this happened, when I said investigate, I said save the social media, because what they do.
Whoa, did you catch that? Wake up. Wake up. Did you catch that? As soon as this happens, this is only somebody that would believe that social media is not on our side being the non-big government side. Only somebody that would believe that would immediately, somebody who didn't trust social media immediately does this. Listen.
Happen when I said investigate, I said save the social media, because what they do, Facebook will take it down and try to hide it. FDLE.
Facebook will try to take it down and hide it. Yo, this is a governor of Florida telling you that Facebook will take it down and hide it from you, the people. That Facebook gets to decide what news, let's not say news, that Facebook gets to decide what information you consume. Because you're too stupid, according to Facebook, to make your own to seek out guys like me or guys like, let's go with the left, with folks like Breaking Points, Crystal and Sagar. You're too stupid. But you can go and pick whatever church you want to go to and listen to whatever pastor to tell you, what is right by God and what is not right by God. That you're okay to do that. But when it comes to what government to believe in or what government information to believe in, you can only get that from one source.
Saved all the social media, and they've been doing that type of research. So I think I think it needs to be done. But that's I have no preconceived notions on this. They're going to do it, but they're going to do a thorough job, and I think produce answers that people have confidence in.
So there you go. The fact that he's going as far as to saving all the social media posts, and he's vehement or he's adamant about disclosing that. Now, is he adamant about disclosing that to the public? Well, he says so in clip 3 here. And especially in clip 4, those are the only 4 I'm going to show you. He's very adamant about being transparent. We'll see. Only time will tell. But listen to what he says. This is the scariest. I think clip 3 and 4. These are the 2 scariest realities that are being given to you by a governor. Now, Bosco seems skeptical. He thinks that maybe Ron DeSantis is not on Trump's side. DeSantis served in Iraq 2005. I was in Afghanistan in 2005. This was the height of that war. But I've heard DeSantis say some things that I feel like maybe he feels as bamboozled as we all do. And maybe he doesn't want to be bamboozled by Trump. And you have to remove the Trump savior complex, because Trump is not the savior of this nation. He's just a guy that's not big government. That doesn't mean automatically that Trump is a great human being or a great guy who has the best of intentions. Maybe he does. But I think there's a high probability that some of Trump's intentions are selfish. Now, I'll argue that going through what he's going through, it appears that I don't think anybody would go this far for some kind of gain that he's looking for. I mean, unless there's some kind of phenomenal wealth that he's going to receive, this was a high price to pay for that wealth. So it makes me think the more that he pushes on and he hasn't given up, that maybe he isn't in this for nefarious reasons. Because I don't think the outcome would be worth it in any kind of nefarious role. Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense? Am I making sense here? Like, I let's just say it was for monetary gain. I don't think the persecution and risking his life that he has is worth any gain that he doesn't already have or could get from another 4 years. So it does make me think that maybe he is trying to do what's best for the country. I don't know. But here, I tend to think that that Ron DeSantis, and here's why, because of this 3 and 4 clip, that he feels the same way we the people feel. And he's going to bring up the Vegas shooting. He's going to bring up some of the other things that we don't have answers to, like the Epstein list. And that makes me think that he genuinely wants answers, because he hasn't gotten these answers either. And he's a pretty high-ranking official in the government, and he wants the same answers we do. So he's only human. So let's hear what he has to say.
Here's the issue. They are trying to prosecute him in the Southern District of Florida. That's just a fact. So just think about that. You have an agency, they're prosecuting him in 2 different jurisdictions right now. They're prosecuting him in Southern Florida. That's on appeal to the 11th Circuit. They're also prosecuting in the District of Columbia for the January 6th stuff. So these are 2 major cases that these agencies are involved with. And so the question is, given that, and there's a lot of people who have a lot of issues with those prosecutions. I mean, as you well know, it's not like these are prosecutions that the American people have rallied behind. It has divided this country in big ways. And so the question is, you have those prosecutions. Do we honestly think these agencies are the best to turn around and do this investigation on a potential assassin? That some of them may or may not want to be held accountable for if there was something they could have done better, right, with security. I don't know what all went into the federal stuff, but man, don't you want a clean slate? Don't you want to have investigative agencies that are just going to pursue this without any other agenda creeping in, without there being any cause for concern about any impartiality? And oh, by the way, that can bring the most serious, readily provable offense under state law, not under federal law. So this is the right thing to do for justice. And I think justice means holding the perpetrator accountable to the full extent of the law. But justice also means making sure we get the unvarnished truth. We haven't gotten the unvarnished truth about Butler, Pennsylvania.
Pay attention to this. Wake back up. Wake up. Wake up. This is important, guys. This might be the most important press conference in our lifetime. Pay attention to what he's about to say right now.
We get the unvarnished truth. We haven't gotten the unvarnished truth about Butler, Pennsylvania. That's just a fact. We never got really any truth about Las Vegas when that happened. And so I think people are used to kind of the federal agencies taking control of things and then no answers happening. And we don't want that to happen in this case. That's not appropriate to happen in this case, especially when the state of Florida has multiple grounds with which to pursue charges against this individual.
Now that to me is probably the most powerful thing I've heard from a politician in a very long time. We didn't get the answers from Vegas. Oh man, I'm so glad he said that, because we all know that there are some, listen, I still believe 100% that was a 240 machine gun and a saw, a 249 Bravo being fired from that window. I know the 240 Bravo very well. I'm very familiar with both weapon systems, the saw and the 240 and the saw and the pig. I'm very familiar with both those weapon systems. I've carried both of them, but I carried the 240 and shot it almost every single day of my life for 13 months straight while I was in Afghanistan. Whether it be test fires or shooting at the mountains or whatever, I shot that gun all the time. And I know exactly what it sounds like. And I'll never forget that gun. It's my favorite gun on the planet. And I know for a fact that gun in Vegas was a 240, even though the government says it wasn't. So listen, I'm very passionate about the whole Las Vegas shooting. And I want, and he's saying, you didn't give us answers. We have no motive for this. And you've given us no answers to what's gone on in Pennsylvania. You've given us no answers to the Hunter Biden laptop or the Ashley Biden diary. Zilch, zip. It's just, it's this new way of something happens, and then we come up with more audacious, more crazy news to make you forget it. So in one instance, you have Ron DeSantis coming out live on TV and saying, we're going to get some answers into these 3-letter agencies that are destroying our country. This big government military industrial complex. We're going to dive into it. And then all of a sudden 3,000 pagers explode and headline news isn't this, which is the biggest news for our country. That means the most to this country right now, that's going to put food on your table. It's going to bring your gas prices down, things that directly relate to your life and your well-being. The biggest news today isn't that. It is pagers blowing up in Syria and Lebanon. And that's just the way mainstream media works, guys. You got to pay attention, and we got to stay on top of these things. I'm not immune to it. Now, Bosco Autry thinks that, or says that he appears to fight on our side and be the people's champion, makes it easier for him to run for big office. Well, my argument to that is big government and the three-letter agencies are running the country right now, because we know that we know that Joe Biden's not, Bosco, right? That's objective, that Joe Biden is not running the country right now. Out there putting on Trump hats and doing all the things. Kamala can't be running the country because she's on a campaign, the campaign of her lifetime, of the big government's lifetime. She's going to Pennsylvania and saying, you better thank a union leader, and then flying right over to Detroit and saying, you better thank a union leader. So we know she's not running the country. The military-industrial complex and big government's running the country. So it would be very foolish of DeSantis to be talking shit about the big government and the three-letter agencies that would be the ones that would get him into the office, because they're not going to allow Trump into the office. You can't go up against the industrial military complex. You can't go up against all the three-letter agencies that are running this country. You can't go up against Bush's army, the CIA. You can't go against that. That's who's running the country. I don't like to say those kinds of things because I don't like to be that hyperbolic or like that fringe or that far, extreme. But I truly in my heart believe it. I do believe that, until you show me evidence of who else is doing it. So I don't think it would behoove Ron DeSantis personally. I don't think it would behoove him to be shitting on the same organization that Trump's been shitting on, that's not allowing him to be the president and that's trying to physically kill him. To go against that, it seems like a death sentence to me. Ron DeSantis could just keep his mouth shut here, because it doesn't matter if you have the Trump vote and you have Trump supporters. That's not going to get you in office. That's been proven. All right, let me play the last one. We'll get out of here. Let me play this last one, because this one I saved the besties for lasties.
Well, what we'll reveal, I think, is the important thing. What the state does is going to be made public. I mean, if you guys know who are from Florida, you can FOIA a lot of the stuff that's done in these investigations under Florida sunshine laws, and then they have a charge to be very frank and exercise candor with the public. I want the information to get out. I do not want any of the information kept under wraps. We're not a party to anything that happened in terms of the state of Florida government. I mean, we have been asked to help in the past on security, and we're always willing to do that. But that wasn't our primary. We were not responsible for it that day.
Okay, here it comes. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. I always let you know when the best part's coming. By the way, my wife even mentioned to me on Fox News, FAWKES News, she says, why do you play the whole clip and not just the point that you're trying to make? And I said, because when I'm doing research for a podcast, it's very important that I give you guys all of the information and I don't put my foot in my mouth. And the one thing I hate about so many other podcasts or things that I'm trying to pull information from is they play the clip I want to hear, but I don't get to have the totality. It's like the preacher that does an entire sermon on one verse of the Bible. And you're like, well, what happened before that verse? Like, what's the whole story? I hate that. I hate that when they give you one verse, but they don't let you know the whole backstory, because that gives you context. So I have, and it might not be great for ratings and for viewer retainership, but one of the things that I vow to do with FAWKES News is try to give you the totality of the clips. Okay. So, but with that, I'll wake you back up and let you know that here's where I'm talking about right here. This is the main point of this clip that I wanted to get out for you, but I want you to see these clips in their totality. So you don't feel like you've been bamboozled or I'm cherry picking to make you feel some type of way. That's what propaganda media does. They cherry pick to make you feel a type of way. I'm trying to give you less feelings, more facts.
We've not been responsible for any of the prosecutions that have been brought against the former president. So we're in a great situation to be able to look at this with clear eyes, get answers, and then deliver those answers to the public. I don't think anyone can honestly claim that the federal government has been forthright and transparent about its past investigations. That's just the reality about its past investigation. Government has been forthright and transparent about its past investigations. That's anyone can honestly claim that the federal government has been forthright and transparent about its past investigations. That's just the reality. That's just how these guys operate. Apart from any type of political bias, that's how it's been really for many, many years. That's not how it's going to be here. And so we'll.
Wow. Wow. Is that not music to your ears? I mean, this is a governor addressing the nation, telling you that everyone can agree that the government hasn't been forthright with us and they haven't been honest with us. Guys, we are at war with big government, with the industrial military complex. And as Bosco Autry in the chat says that he watched this yesterday on Fox News because he's a Fokker. I want you guys all to be Fokkers. F-A-W-K-E-S-E-R-S. F-A-W-K-E-R-S. Fokkers. However you spell that. F-A-W-E-K-E-R-S. Fokkers. I do take Fox News very seriously. I've always taken Last Call very seriously. C- student at best, trying to put out the Lord's work without trying to make you emotional. Try not to be hyperbolic. I'm not trying to take you down conspiracy rabbit holes. I'm not going to do it. Fox News will only present you very quick, factual data that is sourced. There's no confidential informants. There's no, redactions or whatever. Like, it's very transparent news that you can literally take and trust 100% and take it to the streets and make your arguments known without saying things like, he appeared in a BlackRock video. No, I didn't put that out because you can't find the BlackRock video that he's in. And the video that he's in is actually a Ukrainian propaganda video, which I will probably report on at some point once I know that this is what it is and this is what it appears to be, and then I'll put it out there. But we don't need that. We don't need these conspiracy questions. It is fun to question. Listen, don't get me wrong. It is a blast. I like going down the rabbit holes, but it's also dangerous. It can be dangerous, just like alcohol, right? It's fun to sling back a couple of brewskis, but for some people, it's just not possible. Same with the conspiracy rabbit hole. Some people are able to take conspiracy theories and have fun with the questions. And it's another thing that there's another group of people out there who can't look at them and then they lose sleep and they become delusional. I've got a woman right now on my Instagram who thinks that I'm a plant of a child sex ring, and that my kids display in all of their videos and pictures in some way, shape, or form signals that they're involved in a child sex trafficking thing. Now, you can follow my son Duke Tansey or August Tansey or Elkin Tansey or the Tansey fam on Instagram. They are sponsored skaters. They're in magazines. They're extremely good skaters. And she has cherry-picked images and presented them as, here is proof. Like one where my kid's like going like this. She talks about it being the devil horns and that he's wearing red socks, and red socks is a sign of cult style. Listen, there are people who are delusional and they cannot they cannot make the difference between conspiracy fact, conspiracy fiction, reality, and just fucking schizophrenic bonkersness. And I'm not trying to do all that. I want to see you guys over on Fox News. Please subscribe to that movement. I think it is important movement. I think Fox News is important, and I think it's viable information that you can trust to share out, that people will not mock you for misinformation and disinformation. I spend a great deal of time fact-checking what I put out and referencing what I put out on that channel, which is bleeding over and making me better at this. So this is the long form where we can talk about it on live chats and be kind of loosey-goosey. But FAWKES is very quick, to the point, which I would love to do lives over there, but that takes, I have to get that magic 500 subscriber number before they'll let you do lives. So I need every single person to subscribe to that channel that's here today. And I also need you to leave comments. It really helps in the algorithms. If you like Failure to Stop, if you want to see the Failure to Stop movement coming on, I need you to support GhostBed. I need you to support Factor Meals, and I need you to give me a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I don't really need the YouTube shit for Failure to Stop. I don't. Podcast is where the money comes from for Failure to Stop. We do the YouTube channel as a nicety, and I enjoy the chats, and we become a family here. But Fox News will be the YouTube family because it's not banned. It's not shadow banned. I'm very careful with what I say over there. So I want to take the YouTube side over that, but failure to stop exists solely on its audio numbers. So please head over to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen, Podbean, whatever you listen to podcasts on, go to Failure to Stop and leave me a 5-star rating and review. It means absolutely the world to us. From everybody here in the Wolf Pack, I want to see you in the Fox Den as well. If you want that short form YouTube content and you want to start that YouTube community, I think what we're going to work on now is taking the Fox News and putting it onto audio, but only on Patreon. So if you are one of our audio listeners, which 99.9% of Failure to Stop listenership comes from audio. So you audio guys out there that think video podcasts are weird, me too. If you want those 20-minute, 10-minute segments on breaking news, you can get that content on Patreon for less than a cup of coffee a month. $3 a month. It's less than a cup of coffee a month in most places. All right, guys. For myself and everybody else here at the Failure to Stop Podcast Network, that was a lot of fun today. I will be putting out more Fox News today. There's some more cases that I want to cover. So if you want to see more of me today, you can. But until then, guys, thanks for everything. Like G.I. Joe always says, now you know, and knowing is what? It's half the battle.